Welcome back to the 2020 Macabre Month of Horror. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here and check out the rest of the Macabre Month of Horror playlist. Today's review is for the 2016 indie horror film The Void.
I need a copy of Code 3 and I need assist.
The Void is a Lovecraftian horror sci-fi action hybrid about a group of people trying to survive after being trapped in a hospital by cultists. There are supernatural happenings afoot and crazy fucked up monsters in the hospital. I don't want to spoil it, so I'll keep things vague and I'm not going to give any plot details at all, really. It's not that plot heavy of a movie anyway. The Void was crowdfunded through Indiegogo, and the budget was pretty small, but that really doesn't show whatsoever. Yes, it takes place for the most part in just one location, which is a common tactic for keeping budgets small. But the solo location is large and varied, and it suits the story without feeling like a hindrance in any way. The Void also pulls a clever trick by layering the opening credits over a montage of what are essentially disconnected establishing shots. It's a cheap and effective way to give you a feel for the setting without really showing the setting in a traditional, more expensive way. The most impressive aspect of The Void, especially with the low budget in mind, is the special effects work on display. The Void is jam-packed with gore and creatures and crazy supernatural visuals, and it's all done practically. And it all looks great. It doesn't look great for a low-budget film. It looks great, period. I was left marveling at the gore and creature work all throughout, which is something you don't get very often these days. I think this is partially why I've seen a number of people call The Void an 80s throwback, but I don't think I would fully consider it one myself. Sure, it homages some 80s films, particularly John Carpenter's work, but it doesn't at all feel like it's attempting to replicate the style of older 80s horror. You know, there's no neon-drenched lighting or synth soundtrack like your average 80s throwback. Actually, a synth soundtrack might have been welcomed, or at least something a little more stylish. The music that is used in the film didn't leave any kind of impression on me whatsoever. A campier, goofy tone that doesn't take itself as seriously would have been welcome as well, because it does take itself a little seriously for how kind of ridiculous everything is.
There is something calling them all here. I've seen this place before.
Everything has led to this.
Something I really appreciate about The Void was how little downtime there was. It starts with a bang and it never lets up for very long, straight into a big, fun, action-y climax. The moments where the film does slow down a little and gets into some more plotty territory is when the film begins to falter a little. As more is explained about the cult and the main villain's intentions are revealed, the cracks start to show a little bit. But luckily, the film doesn't dwell on these more narrative-focused elements for too long. The priority is just being a fun time. The film is at its best when it's going full throttle, which it luckily does for much of the runtime. It's not scary as far as horror films go, or creepy at all, really. But what it is a ton of fun, and I was fully engrossed the whole time. The characters are all simple and fairly surface level. I liked seeing Ellen Wong in a supporting role. You know, Knives Chow from Scott Pilgrim. The lead was likable enough, but a little generic, and otherwise the rest of the cast don't do anything in particular to stand out, but everyone's more or less serviceable, but some of them are a little more on the weaker side. Luckily, they aren't asked to do too much, performance-wise.
Remarkable.
They did killings and sacrifices. They made people change.
Nothing else matters now.
It isn't real. It's not real.
There's a good escalation to the danger and the specific enemies. It almost has a video gamey feel as the characters fight their way through different monsters. There's even a big boss fight at the end. There are a number of small issues, some plot inconsistencies, the cult angle feels underexplored, the main villain is pretty weak, not very memorable or threatening, and you can easily nitpick the hell out of this movie if you wanted to. If you sit down and really analyze the inner workings of The Void, the facade doesn't hold up perfectly to scrutiny, let's say. But the watching experience and fun factor are both extremely high. There's not a lot of depth here, if that's what you're looking for. This isn't a story that will get you deep in thought, and these aren't characters that you'll love and care deeply for. There's no emotional resonance when someone bites the dust, but the way they bite it is thoroughly entertaining. That's more or less the kind of movie this is.
It's not real.
This isn't the end.
It's not creepy horror, it's fun horror, like Return of the Living Dead or Cabin in the Woods, but without ever reaching the level of either of those films. It doesn't have much in the way of overt humor, though, nor does it have much camp. I would actually prefer a little more camp. So don't go in expecting a bunch of laughs. It's a specific tone of cool, fun horror that will either connect with you or it won't. I really dug it, and I plan on watching it again for sure. I was surprised by how little I had heard about it, positively at least. The Void definitely has the feel of a cult classic in the making. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and to check out the rest of the Macabre Month of Horror for this year and previous years. Links are right here on the end screen and in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.